Welcome, welcome, everyone. It's been, I don't want to say too long. It's been a needed break. So hopefully you guys have saved up some good fish questions. I can see someone here has already used the new feature, at least for our channel, because I haven't been live since I went live, the member only. I'm calling it the member super chat thing. I know it's got a real name, but it uses that super chat button. And Bika63 with the first one, being a 24-month member. Welcome aboard. Well, not aboard, you've been aboard. So let me get the chat pulled up here. Basically, I've taken a break because one's burnout, two, life has just been insane, crazy, and work, it's work. That's all I do is work. So, but then the dogs and stuff like that too. So, yeah. All right, I got a few Licorice Gouramis last week for a home desk tank. Such hilarious interactions with my blue dream shrimp. Yeah, they're little micro predators. Those guys can be a little finicky to feed, but are fun. Same with, sometimes they get called like samurai gouramis and things like that, but the licorice gouramis, pretty cool. Which, by the way, one of the speakers we'll have, which I'll touch into me advertising stuff, by the way. One of the speakers we have coming up, Lawrence Kent, when I visited his fish room one time, he had a whole section of his fish room dedicated to basically gouramis that he himself had caught, which was super cool, but also incredibly hard to film with the brown water and them being so shy. So it was not the greatest video. Super cool to sit. It was one of those fish rooms you've ever been where you got to sit. And if you don't move for 20 minutes, you're gonna get a glimpse of something awesome. And that does not play well for cameras and other people's timelines, but it was very cool to see. So, let's see. So yeah, advertising. We hear you loud and clear. Some people saying, we're advertising too much. Some people say, I'm not going to watch Aquariumcoop, there's commercials. Other people are saying, I won't watch anything at all if you have Irene or Zenzo on the channel. We've had others saying, I didn't know this video came out. Why didn't I get an alert? And basically, times are tough. And to make sure that our employees stay busy, we have to advertise. And so that's part of why we got on YouTube. The biggest portion or the reason we got on YouTube was to advertise. We are a business. We've always been a business. We were a business way before we ever got on YouTube. And we will continue to market to people. Now, we want to do it in the least invasive ways we can. We test features. We try different things. Some things we don't even realize we're marketing. That happens a lot as well. Like we made a video on how to program an auto feeder. That's not an advertisement. That is to hopefully have Candy stay sane because people are having trouble programming their auto feeders with paper instructions. So, doing what we can. And I've got a new idea where we insert basically commercials into content. So instead of you watching a video from Ford or whatever is going to, whatever the commercials are going to be in this thing, we're just going to put one right in, I don't know about the center, but it'll be in there. You'll be able to skip it if you want. But really, our commercials are, yes, support us if you want to support us. That's amazing, and that keeps us going forward. If you don't want to learn about a product, great, skip by it. We're not trying to hard advertise to you. We try to offer 110% value first, and then hopefully you buy. And we'll never. Well, I won't say never because you can't say never about anything. But we have no intentions of changing the way the YouTube channel works. There will be more Zenzo. There will be more Dean. There will be more Irene. If anything, we're moving more and more towards a diverse channel that will have multiple creators, more like a network. If you watch, I watch channel 5 and they've got different shows. That's more what we're moving towards because that's sustainable. People can take breaks. You can have crossovers. You can do all of these things, and it's not all on one person, one editor. A lot of it comes down to Jimmy needs breaks. I need breaks. Dean needs breaks. There's this whole real life thing going on in the background, and the more we can diversify, the more we make sure that we don't miss episodes. Putting out. So yeah, that's why we're doing all of this stuff. I'm very behind on all these new member messages, which this is a new feature. You get to use it once a month. And so I assume most people use it the first time, and so there's going to be extra of these. But then I think long term, it'll be a nice way for someone to really get that good. I need, my fish is sick or something is urgent. Get that information out there. So I'm going to try to catch up with these as quickly as I can. So I'm moving 7 tanks tomorrow, and thoughts on reusing substrate. Thoughts on tanks on the floor, temporary if needed. Yeah, I've done temporary tanks on the floor. I always reuse substrate. To me, kind of a rock is a rock is a rock. And I realize we're talking pebbles, and we're sometimes talking clay, and we're sometimes talking other things. But the reality is most of the stuff we're just gobbling up out of nature, and it was used before we ever got it. So highly recommend reusing, reuse, reduce, recycle. All of those things are going to be good for the environment and you and your wallet and things like that. So, I realize by taking out from the wild, with some substrate, there are our own moral things right there. But, do know that we can still be doing things that might not be great for the world long term, but we don't have to be horrible about it. We can go, well, this option and this option are both bad, but maybe I make the one that's slightly worse today, knowing that there might be a better solution next decade or something. And that's how I live my life. All right. Oh, Candy even showed up. I didn't know if she would, show up. I'm seeing in the comments here, being that it was kind of impromptu. I wasn't sure I was going to have time. I had to go to the bank, and we were closing some older, trying to streamline, right? So it's one of those things that nags you in business, which, by the way, I'm going to be forthright right here. If I can't talk business and fish, I'll probably never live stream again, because 250 some live streams, very few fish questions haven't already been answered. 1,000 videos, kind of covered it all. But anyway, back to business part. We had these accounts we hadn't used in like 2 or 3 years, but every month I'd have to download statements and give them to the accountants. And finally, today was the day to put the end of that. So one less thing, pulling at time. That's another 2 or 3 comments I can answer. Well, probably more like 5 or 6 on YouTube. So trying to get stuff like that just out of my life and free up time to do things I want to do. Loving the Peru videos. I'm glad you guys are liking it. I think there's going to be about 2 videos left. One kind of the ending the saga of pufferfish, and then another one to really address, and I already knew this was coming, so it's playing out perfectly. There's hate every day of like, how dare you take these animals out of the wild, you're the devil, right? There's always that sentiment with X portion of people, and we'll have a video to address all of that and really show you guys how many fish are dying and what it looks like, and because we would stumble upon it, right? You'd be like, oh, that's a pond drying up, fish are dying, and I think in this like 7 to 10 minute video we'll be able to encapsulate, a lot of the fish that we're catching have that fate, and if that's the fate of it, then really we're just worried about, the carbon footprint of shipping a fish from Peru to, the United States and things like that. And it's much less, especially if you've watched the video that we shared, probably a month ago, the documentary about, getting fish all the way from the wild to a store and people's livelihoods and things like that. It's a much bigger like economic issue for different groups of people involved. So, do I have a recommendation for an auto doser for a 10-gallon tank? I'm battling some string algae and need to stabilize the Easy Green. I've always used, like, I think they're Jabo. Are they Jabo? They're like the 4-head ones for like $75, and I know they make single head unit ones, but I don't know. I tested some apps and they were garbage because they were like Bluetooth or whatever. And so I haven't found one, and that's on a long to-do list for Aquariumcoop to have one that would work really good. It's like a single head unit, hopefully in that like $30, $40, $50 range, somewhere not $75, right? Bring the cost down. I don't expect it to be $10, but I see the need for that. I've always ended up running 4 head pumps and only using 2. Basically, one for Easy Green and one for extra iron in some of the tanks that need it, but not all tanks need that. Am I going to visit Rusty Wessel? Would love to see more of the fish house. Possibly. There's a trifecta event going on next year in Kentucky, which is ACA, ALA, and AKA. I think that's the Killifish Association. I haven't looked into it enough yet to know, am I going, I do know at least one of the groups is including a tour to Rusty Wessel's house. But in that instance, right, we would have to actually schedule with Rusty to go, hey, can we get in and film without a giant crowd before or after the event so that we can do it justice and not so much, waiting for people to move and it takes days to film like that. So it's a possibility. Things happen, and we plan lots of stuff to film. And like in our Florida trip, one of the things we're going to film is kind of fallen through, which is just kind of nature of the work, right? You plan things, and people can get sick, or things can change, or the problems can happen, or flights change, whatever is going to impact that. And good news is we'll probably still film 2 or 3 other videos, so it's not just a call the whole trip off or anything like that. But it won't be as efficient as we were hoping. All right. Carol Coxman, 20 months. I had no idea. I know. Fish Tank Barn at 38 months. That might be the record so far. 38 months. Yeah, diverse videos are good. If I'm not interested in the video, I can skip those ones. That's how we feel, or I feel, as the owner. I'm the owner of the company. I'm the owner of the channel. And if I look at YouTube like TV or Netflix, right, I just don't watch the things I'm not interested in. And then when season 4 of a show I like comes out, guess what? I'm back in it. And I think that's, while not 100% optimal, I think, or for you, I think it's pretty optimal for a company to be able to do that, because it will allow breaks. It will allow different creative things. It will allow multiple projects to be going at the same time, which is very helpful sometimes. Oh, my thing, here we go. As long as there is more Dean, I'll be happy. Yeah, and we used to film every week with Dean and I, right? You guys saw that, and Dean's all over the place, and you're liking it. But then Dean had to move his wife back to Washington. Then he had to move his daughter from Washington to California. And then, why is he going? Oh, he's like, now in this week, he's kind of back, but taking care of a bunch of stuff. And we basically can't line it up where we do anything meaningful before. I mean, we filmed some stuff. So rewind, probably last Friday or whatever, 2 Fridays ago, we filmed a bunch with Dean. We've got a members only video coming out. We've got a tour coming out. He did his own commercial because he gets competitive. He's like, oh, I want to do a commercial, right? So we did film with him, and that stuff will be coming out, which obviously we have to film way in advance so that you guys can see it. But not a whole lot of time lines up between now and when we all go to ALA. And we're, as a company, we're paying to bring Dean, so you guys can meet Dean in person if you live in Florida or you're going to the event. We're investing, whether it's you bought a net or you're a paying member or you're a retail store customer, like we're using profits to make that kind of stuff happen. Because we don't make money off events. So, but yes. So he's got to do stuff too. Like I think he's flying to Arizona. It's either right before or right after we go. I think it's right after. We go to the ALA. He's back for 1 or 2 days, and then he flies to Arizona to go speak at a club. And so, he's got his own things going on. I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people is, you got a busy life. We've got busy lives, business and work. Work is video, but the reality is the video is the hardest thing for us to set up, because I can't just do it whenever I want. When you guys, say, oh, I want a Rusty Wessel tour. Well, I can't just do that tomorrow morning. I have to work on other people's schedules. So we try as much as we can, and COVID and all of that. But, I still always casually remind people we've never missed an upload in over 5 years. So there's a new episode every week. Might not be a great episode, right? There's times when people are sick, and, think about this. So, you see Corey, right? You see Corey. And you see Dean sometimes, you see other people. But what about when they got the flu? What about when I have the flu? What about when Jimmy has the flu? We do everything we can to make sure there's never a disruption. You know, we've never called out sick, ever. And we try very hard to make sure that will never happen for you guys. I've got a freshwater rotifer culture from a local fish club for cheap, and now I don't know how to cultivate them without killing them off. You probably need some green water, you basically need freshwater phytoplankton cultures, which is green water. You might be able to use a little bit of infusoria. It's really hard. Like Dean was trying to do it when raising puffers, and it's its own hobby. And so when I watch someone like Dean struggle, and he's meticulous and he'll work really hard, when he's going, this is unsustainable, you know it's like, this is too much work. And so that's why we don't see a lot of rotifer cultures in the freshwater hobby, is they're a crazy amount of work. That being said, when you do have them going and you have a fish that needs it, it can be very beneficial. But for the average person like me, average guy, I'm just not into it. All right, don't let the trolls get you down. They're mostly just flu ball waze, universal rocks, and light spectrum bots. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah. No, and there's members aren't trolls, but they, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be a troll comment to set you on a different path of thinking. It can be, you know, maybe you've got, you know, like that comment that I think was, I won't watch the channel anymore if Zenzo and Irene are on. It was from a member. You know, so it's not just straight up a troll. It's kind of like, well, you know, we're going to make decisions, and I think this is what's best for the company, and if I'm wrong, we'll implode. But you know, I like working with lots of people. So, Susan SLC, been so inspired by you and the hobby. Well, thanks. Riley had 9 months. Trish KCMO 2 years. Yeah, you've been around a long time, Trish. Long time. Same with Jess Phillips. 36 months from my wife. So Fish Tank Barn's been a member longer than my wife has. We were watching Step Brothers for like 4 minutes last night, and I told my wife that I want her to help me work that into my vocabulary of the statement that they say was, I was at about a 6 there. You don't want to see me go to a 10. Oh man, I do want to work that into normal life somehow. All right, we caught up on all these special messages, so I can dig into the normal chat here. Once the season speeds up, will you start posting on the second channel? I don't think we're going to post anything on the second channel. Mostly it's not beneficial YouTube-wise, and half the people are... They can't find it, and we're really trying to streamline how people can get access to what they want to get access to. And you know, some things I do have in the works that I want to do is get a 24/7 live camera out on my pond, because there's all kinds of crazy cool wildlife and that kind of stuff. Which it's going to take some infrastructure work. We got to run basically fiber, because I can't use Ethernet, like over 1,000 feet to get close to the pond, build a structure so the camera doesn't implode instantly from rain and wind and sun and all that. And then my goal would be that would live stream 24/7 on YouTube, let the members chat in there, and then kind of have that on another screen where I'm kind of just monitoring a little bit and chatting every once in a while. And then also I could just go in front of that camera and kind of live stream for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. You can see me mow in the yard, whatever. And that just might be a fun thing. And that would just always, set up correctly, always be going. And then, you know, we would still do live streams like this from time to time. It's not, I try not to make things be like, oh, we're quitting this and doing this. We usually try to just add more. And that's just one thing I'm like, yeah, if we set it up right, it's pretty cool to watch, you know, a fish eat my baby koi, and, you know, oh, look, that's a deer and a coyote, and like the leaves look really pretty right now. And honestly, I would watch it, because I'm in here working and not so much watching my own pond. It'd be a way for me to interact as well. Let's see. Any closer to gifting memberships? Not that I've seen that's the #1 requested thing of YouTube. We're trying to get closer to give you guys a discount. That's been a very maddening experience all around, going round and round and round. It's It feels like I'm trying to cancel a Comcast account or something. It's kind of that nightmare scenario of like, how is this the way this is supposed to work? But if it goes through, it'll be great. There's so many little things we want to try and do, but we can't do until we can confirm or deny membership status. Yeah. You and the co-op made my hobby so much more enjoyable and less stressful. Always love the streams. Well, thanks. Yeah, which it's funny that all these videos and everything, it makes it less stressful for a lot of people. It makes it more stressful for me, which is ironic. But you know, there are times when you hit that Zen state and it's really fun, and there's a lot of like, oh gosh, I better catch up. Love watching you take a Severum to the face and Randy while you get in the Amazon. Yeah, it was that mud was next level at some of those places, and I'm glad I trained. It wasn't as brutal as years previous. So, one thing I did announce, I guess, at the meetup we had over the weekend, if you're a local member, you know, a lot of you made it out, like over 80 people made it. We handed out gift bags. So if you were a member, we handed out a gift bag with like $27 worth of stuff. You know, we try to always give back to people that are investing basically in our projects so that we do. And yeah, so like a little over 80 people showed up. We had a cool cake. We had pizza and drinks and just chatted, and people shopped and all that. It was actually above the store. But what I announced there was the lease that we actually signed was to expand the store. So the store will now be twice as large, whereas we just get the space next to it. And so that means a much larger, you know, Murphy tank that costs, I'm still waiting on final quotes, but somewhere between 28 and 30,000 for, it's at least 1,350 gallons. We might be able to go a little bit more. We're seeing what we can pull off there. So Murphy will get an upgrade, and then the old Murphy tank will turn into something new, and we'll get lots of other stuff on the other side. So twice as large, and so if you're local, it should be awesome. And we'll be able to film, you know, kind of probably building of the next part of the store. It'll probably just be like one video of like, hey, look, it's there, because I don't think it's worth like a daily, today we're setting up another stand, that type of stuff. I was going somewhere with that. It actually meant I had a reason for going there, but apparently I've lost it. Amber's on for the ALA. For someone who's never been to a fish event, what should I expect? Is it okay to show off pics of my fish room and to other random fish rooms? Yeah. I would expect there to be a lot more downtime than you're used to. Try to participate in a bunch of stuff. Try to make some friends. And I know that's difficult when you don't know anybody, but we'll try to, you know, put the word out of like, hey, we're gonna go grab lunch over here, and then people wander over, eat, you come back, and hopefully, you know, if we get all our ducks in a row, maybe we'll have name tags like we did at the event we had now, and you can go, hey, Amber Hart, like, yeah, I heard Corey talk about you on the live stream. I'm blah blah blah, you know, and then you can nerm out together. But yes, pictures and all of that, and you know, before people wanted to come talk to me, I would just try to listen, just absorb as much information as I could. That was mine. And then I was always trying to get the lowdown on the fish. Like, I don't know if they're doing fish sales by room, but that's usually one of the nights where you can kind of hotel room hop, and different people have different aquariums set up with different fish. And yeah, you do your shopping there, and you kind of get a game plan. There's going to be an auction on Sunday. There's usually a lot of little things going on, but it's not like jam-packed, super fun. So kind of, you know, I would advise bring a laptop or a tablet for like kind of when you're chilling back in the hotel room, because if you're not into kind of the drinking, like hanging out party scene, which there's usually a hospitality suite, and that's where drinking and kind of like some snacks go on and that kind of stuff, which I don't know specifically if they're having that at this one, but every other one they've had. If you're not into that, then, you know, kind of settles down to that 9 p.m. and after for a lot of people, myself included. But yeah, otherwise it's a pretty good time. It's not like you're not in Hawaii where you're just like sitting on the beach. You're still, you know, in Florida, kind of being a nerd at a fish convention. Plan to eat really well, as in you go out to eat every meal probably. and then talk fish. And I feel like when I go, if I'm just a hobbyist, I'm good for about a day and a half, and then I'm like, all right, it's getting a little long. Where for me, it gets long faster usually, because it's like, oh, we land early, we start filming early, we do all the events leading up to the convention, then we do the convention, and then we actually have filming after the convention. So for me, it's like a 5 or 6 day commitment, and I got lots of business to do in between that, so I have to rush back at night, hammer out emails, and hopefully if you've got that vacation time built up with where you work, you're just totally on chill mode. I've got pea puffers that love bloodworms, but nothing else. What foods do you recommend? I would just mix the frozen, I assume frozen, I don't know if they're frozen, but I would mix the bloodworms with other foods, let them kind of marinate, and feed that after a week or two. Hopefully they'll start taking, maybe it's, they're eating some brine shrimp now, but for the most part, they only kind of want frozen foods. So, frozen brine, frozen bloodworms, live would work also, mosquito larvae, and then I was going to say snails, live snails. That's what keeps pea puffers from being like the easiest, best puffer ever, is the fact that they won't just eat like super easy dry food of like, oh, here, eat a pellet. Janelle, member of 9 months. I've got some blackbeard algae and I need some diatom help. It's a 75-gallon tank, 6 months old. I took out rocks and driftwood, scrubbed with peroxide, and put back in the tank, and dosing easy carbon every day. Those are all band-aids. You haven't really figured out what the problem is or started treating the problem. Usually there's an imbalance. Is there too much or not enough light for the amount of nutrients that are there based on the amount of plants? So without having more information, I would watch some of our guides or read about our guides on the blog or watch the videos, and maybe I would pick up like a Siamese algae eater. I'd get that guy snacking on some. I would make sure that I've got a decent amount of plants pushing forward, and that my light is set at 8 to 10 hours basically, and keep that a constant on a timer. So often I'll go down the rabbit hole with someone, and then they'll tell me that their light's not on a timer. I'm like, oh, well, that's the problem. Like, the variation in, you think I turn it on and turn it off every time, at the same time every day, but when you actually were to look into it, it's like off by hours in a week. So, get the constant being the light, really dial that in. Then you can really start dialing in easy green, basically. And then from that point, you can use things like easy carbon, Siamese algae eaters, flagfish, a mono shrimp. I was going to say a mono fish. And that combination will start to recede the algae problem. And for most people, the thing I would say to remember is, usually it doesn't go from I had no algae to I had insane amounts of algae overnight. It took weeks and months to get there. And it also takes weeks and months to reverse that. We could use something to kill everything, right? But that doesn't solve the problems of maybe it was lighting or maybe it was fertilizer. That just kind of hits a reset button. And oftentimes that makes it even harder because we're not even getting any closer to finding the solution that we were after. Greatly admire and appreciate seeing the oldest streams and seeing you manage the growth over many years while making the co-op what it is today. Yeah, I think about that a lot of, even though the aquarium co-op business has felt hard no matter what stage I'm in, right? So it felt hard the day I opened. It felt hard a year into it. It felt hard 2 years into it. It felt hard when I just got on YouTube. It felt hard, for success on YouTube. It's always going to feel hard, but you find a way through it. And that's the thing is as the business keeps growing and we keep hiring people and we keep training and getting better. Like every day I get better. Well, I can't say I do get better, but I try to get better at something. And most of the people in my company are trying to get better at something. And so, even though we're only at 35 employees, on a given month, we might all operate like, oh, we're 36 employees now because we invested in technology or we've tried to learn a skill we didn't have, and that's the only way we can remain competitive with the greats, Amazons, Walmarts, Chewy, and still put out content. It's I have the people that report to me. I have meetings, I have to do reviews and that kind of stuff, and I always try to, make sure there's some time spent there of like, are you actually putting in effort to learn? And what I mean by that is, so often we're so overwhelmed by the work that we're needing to get done. Like maybe you need to, work with another team member and you got sick and all of these things, so you kind of get behind and you can kind of get caught up. But are we taking dedicated time every week to go, hey, even if it's just an hour or two, I got a 2-hour block that I'm going to put towards learning. Is it what I do every day better? Is it a new skill? Is it, I want to look into, shipping outside the United States? Like, what are we doing to actually exceed what we're already doing? Because if you're just, if you're building a house and you're hitting a nail with a hammer and you do it the same way forever, you're going to build a lot of houses. But what if you could have learned to do it a little better? Or what if you could have learned to build, I can build skyscrapers now, or I can build sports arenas, or you're never going to expand from what you do every day. Even if you're building houses, you might build a ton of them. They might be great in the way they're built. But I like to expand and learn and dabble in things. And I encourage my employees to do that as well. I mean, everyone's got, 30, standard employee, 38 out of 40 hours is mostly, if you're in the warehouse, picking and packing and cleaning and stuff that we have to get done. But then there are training. We did a lot of training lately, led by Haley, actually, I believe, on training employees on identifying plants and things like that. Because not everyone at the warehouse is an aquarist, right? And one of the programs we launched after that of seeing, cause after we tested people, they did like a week-long thing of training a little bit in different groups, and they got tested. And then if they didn't get certain percentages, we worked with them some more. And by we, not me, but other employees. And what we learned from that, from a business, is we need to also, we're offering, I don't quote me if you work for me because I've forgotten the exact numbers, but I want to say it's like roughly $300-ish or $200-ish in credit to start up an aquarium. So if you've never owned an aquarium, it's a way to get started. They already get, employee discounts and all that, but if you've never been in the hobby, we're, encouraging, if you want to go and learn that, you now have this way to do it basically for free, kind of that continued education and, seeing what our retail store is like and, interacting and learning and hopefully getting involved. So, yeah. Did my first swap meet in Austin. The name tag idea made it much easier to meet people. Well, congrats. Well, then, Tank's been a while, 35 months. Squeezing your co-op sponge filter is a great stress relief and productive. One more day, or one more month until my taco badge. Indeed. True enough. Definitely into the drinking and relaxing scene. Yeah, I'm not... I'll drink a Diet Coke. We like to do ice cream socials. And what I mean by that is like, anyone that wants to hang out, like, let's go get ice cream. Aquariumcoop will buy it. It's usually like under $100. There's not that many people that want to go. Most people want to go drink or whatever. And so we'll go grab ice cream and kind of mellow out. Because half the reason, truth be told, I go get ice cream is my throat is like on fire or dying. And so ice cream just feels good. And plus, like Chris Lukup and Joel Korvasoskin both love ice cream. I like ice cream, don't get me wrong, but they love ice cream, and so it was a good excuse. Got another great order from you guys? Well, thank you. We're actually spending quite a bit of time and effort analyzing your guys' order patterns and making sure you guys want to order from us and not our competitors, and doing what we can to make sure that we are, doing well. Basically, things have lagged behind. Usually we see an uptick by now where it's like, hey, we're back into winter and people are buying a bunch of stuff, and that hasn't come yet. So we're doubling down on making sure we're, crossing our P's and dotting our Q's, all that kind of stuff. And just covering the basics to make sure that when you guys come and knocking and ready to order, we're ready to deliver. And, if you haven't ordered in a long time, we're going to send you an email and be like, did we make you angry? Is it just you got out of the hobby? Is it, you got laid off from work? Is there a question we can answer? And, just doing the basics. My 1-year anniversary is a NERM. Time does fly. I'll be live with Rico Stan next Tuesday. I believe it's 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. He'll know. You can look at his channel. I think he's already got it scheduled. I don't know if I will live stream and then live stream. The only reason I'm live streaming tonight is because my wife doesn't feel that well or feel that great, and so there's no date night. And I was like, well, I'll live stream and we'll just kind of take it easy. And because my banking appointment ran late and all that, I was like, oh yeah, I could just live stream. The day is kind of shot in terms of interacting with business people because most of my company has gone home. That's a good reason why we do 5 p.m. Why is 5 p.m.? Well, the warehouse closes at 4:30, and most of the other staff that aren't at the retail store kind of call it quits that 4 to 5. You know, you've got like back in the day, you had Irene and Candy, and they were remote, so they would not stop working, but most times their days ended earlier than mine, and so it made sense. Like, oh yeah, book a live stream at 5. That'll be right when Candy wants to make dinner. You know, I tried not to do that, but it made sense for everybody else, and she said she didn't mind, so. One day, we'll get Joel G to be a member. Instead, he'll just give me money via the stickers. 2.5 years as a member, and just want to say thanks. You've helped my hobby, my job. Well, that's interesting. And the hobby of many others through my job. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm really pressing YouTube going, give us a 36-month like emoji or badge or whatever. I'd probably make it sassy at this point, but I don't know. We'll see if something better. Ashley, give me $10. Well, thanks, Ashley. Hopefully you're already a member. If not, hopefully your country or your state allows it. When are you shipping to Canada? I feel like I say this every live stream. I had a meeting yesterday about that. It looks stupid promising. It's one of those, have you ever been that thing where you're like, you're listening, you're like, but why wouldn't everyone do this? Okay, yes, we are down to do this, but why isn't everybody doing this? We had that kind of a meeting about shipping worldwide, not even just Canada, but worldwide. And we've got a couple of tests to do. So the goal is this new way in which we're doing it. We have to get like TSA approved, which is crazy. And then we're going to run a couple of tests. If those tests go well, then we have to adapt the website to, like we can't let you order plans. We can't let you order electronics. So we got to do some stuff there. We got to work on messaging, right? It won't be free shipping to Canada at $59. We also have to, right now it might say shipping's $4.99 US. Well, it's going to be different for Canada, right? So we got some stuff to figure out. But if the tests go right, if everything was in a perfect world right now, which is not, COVID's a thing, there's a lot of stuff going on, I estimate we could launch Canada/worldwide shipping. It's not completely worldwide. There's some countries we can't do, but it really expand our shipping November 1st. That being said, everything would have to be in line, and I don't think it'll be that in line. So we are definitely working on it though, and it's looking super promising. But it looks so promising that I'm waiting for oh, that's what you left out. That's going to be a train wreck. Because right now it's like, oh man, take my money, let's do this. What major brand pizza does the Coop crew frequent for lunch? We most often buy Domino's. I just happen to kind of like Domino's. We just always have kind of done that. I think it's because it's cheap pizzas. Yeah. For a while, a lot of the warehouse crew was eating Little Caesars, but I think they closed down and left. Well, once COVID hit that, and then Little Caesars left. So now when we buy pizza, it's mostly that. Also, we don't have to, but we like pizza places that have like gluten-free options. So Domino's has a gluten-free option for Robert. So some things like that where we've got people that have different dietary requirements, and yeah, once you kind of find a place that can do most of the things you need to do, then we just keep with it. My order history doesn't make sense. I was moving, so I haven't had tanks in 5 months, but finally almost ready again. New house has a goldfish pond. Yeah, I've been really looking into analytics, and the pet market, supposedly average of like all people, right? With a specific company, because maybe you guys order from different companies, right? But it was like 3.9 orders a year is the average, like with big data. And that's just from one company. So you could be ordering from us, and you could be ordering from KD Tropical or something like that, and maybe it's more or whatever, but which I would have thought it was way more, because I know that when I'm in it, I'm ordering a ton, but once every 3 months seems like I just don't plan enough to buy 3 months worth of fish food at a time, I feel like. Retail store, much different, but online-wise. Do I have snails in the tanks you keep plants? I do. I noticed a snail in my tank. I've never had snails, and all my plants are from your store. Yeah. My fish room, tons of snails. My warehouse, snails. My store, snails. Definitely, yes, yes. Love snails. Super beneficial. Highly recommend keep snails with your plants. Hello from North GA, USA. Well, hello. Stefan or Steven? Stefan? Where does the link happen? I'm not sure which link. Best team ever behind me? No doubt. Good leader too. I've got 3 red-eye puffers. Should I deworm the local? Should I deworm local fish store didn't, or should I look for signs first? I'm always going to deworm. You know, technically there's not any problem in waiting to see signs if you know you're going to be able to identify the signs. If, you know, I just, personally, I always deworm, especially puffers. Yeah, where does the link happen? The link. I'm trying to think of the link. Not sure. How is Spoon? I just filmed him today. In fact, I've got to up, or not up, but I've got another part of that video to film for you guys. USPS doesn't even ship to New Zealand as of 2 weeks ago. Yeah, this new system would actually utilize UPS and local carriers in those countries. So it's a different system for sure. Under the chat bar, $. Oh no, I think JR wanted to use the special once a month message and then was trying just to ask where the link happened, and therefore it was a special message. So, well, that's the one you get for this month. You'll get another one next month, JR. Sorry about that. I usually don't talk that much, but I wanted to say that it was really cool seeing you and and so much of the co-op crew live the other day. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We weren't sure what to expect. We didn't crazy promo it or not. We weren't, at the time of planning, was COVID going to get worse in the winter? Was it going to be fine? What were the regulations going to be? And so we didn't want to, really hype train it and then have to be like, sorry, I can't do it. And so, going forward, we definitely learned stuff, and we took notes, and we're going to try and improve each time. The goal is to make it repeatable no matter where we go. So if we're at home, we're at the ALA, we're at Oklahoma, like wherever we're going to go, we want to be able to basically have a good time for people, give some stuff away, and make it repeatable and a known experience. You can see pictures like on the forum and that stuff. When will you have the Nano hang-on back in stock? I have no idea. It's basically, with so many ships sitting outside of like California with containers, a lot of stuff we ask and they're like, well, it's sitting outside. It's been there for 6 weeks. Will it be there next week? I don't know. What about the week after? I don't know. And so we're sitting at the mercy of that. Luckily, we've been putting, we saw, or At least I saw this coming way ahead of time. We've been stocking up, trying to make sure that we have very little disruptions in our supply as much as possible. Anything that we make, we try to make sure we have it in stock. When other people make it, unfortunately, they don't always see the same urgency and see the the disruption. Maybe they're not in tune with it. I'm not sure what they're doing, but it can be frustrating for everybody involved. And so I honestly, I just don't know. It could literally be tomorrow or it could be a month. I have no idea. And we email the companies and they don't know either, unfortunately. So it's not even, not even like we can give you a guesstimate at this point. So, all right. I saw something I was wanting to read, but I don't know where it went. Oh, it was the Saudi Arabia order. Right here. We was finally able to get an order from the co-op forwarded to me in Saudi Arabia. I assume it's Saudi Arabia. I could just be not educated enough to know that Saudi is not Saudi Arabia. The strips are great. Been testing more frequently. Can't wait for you going global. Yeah, it's quite the undertaking. We're filling out all kinds of custom codes. We're prepping for it. We're moving forward like it's gonna work with this whole just too good to be true. Wait for it to, that ain't gonna work. So we're really hoping, because this would be, one, we can make some more money. Great, right? And hopefully help some more people. Great too. But there are things that we'll have to figure out. It's not gonna make sense. And what do we do if we ship you something to Saudi Arabia and you're like, I'd like to return this? So we might have to be like, okay, there's no returns outside the United States, but there's probably a couple of, maybe in Europe, maybe I have to. So maybe it's send it to this location, we'll have to destroy it and give your money back. There's all these little things that I don't know of yet, but hopefully we'll be able to punch our way through them and be doing what we got to do. What's going on with USPS in the news? Will shipping from the co-op stay the same? To the best of my knowledge, our shipping is not changing in either price or speed, because we don't use first class at this point, and we pay. So part of it is Aquariumcoop has always paid for priority shipping, which that priority shipping costs way more. I mean, we spend an absurd amount. Our competitors, I can't say no one uses it, but dang near no one uses it. Most people ship UPS, they ship it slow because you save so much money. For a lot of businesses, shipping is a profit center. You go, yeah, we charge the customer $10. It only costs $6 to ship. We make $4. We are the opposite. We charge you $5, and our average cost to ship a package is $12 right now because it keeps going up. Now, how do we combat that? Because you don't just lose money as a company. We charge it in the products, right? So either A, we try to get a better deal with our manufacturers. B, maybe it was something we were buying from a company and then we make it ourselves or something, right? We figure out a way. How can we get more efficient? Now, I did do a round of price increases because everything's been going up on us. We've been super busy and I haven't updated it. So something like CCAM Prime went from, we were selling it for $12.99. It went to $19.99, which is insane. We were paying $12.84 for it. So we were selling it for $12.99. We were paying like $12.84 or $11.84. I'd have to actually look because of the price increases. And now the minimum advertised price that we weren't allowed to sell was $17.75. So price increases are coming, and there was a few other items like that where like Aquatop air pumps, we're gonna end up dropping one. We're launching our own air pump, and yeah, some industries, some companies are just upside down. They're floundering with not projecting their inventory correctly, raising prices, and prices are going up. There's no doubt about that a container that was $3,500 2 years ago is now $18,000 to $24,000. So there's no doubt that the price of goods is going to go up, but it's by how much, and how much can we mitigate? Can we make any strategic plays? Can we play this game smarter than our competitors and keep the price down and hopefully save you guys money? It's our belief and our hope that if we do the best job we absolutely can, you guys will stick with us. And I'm seeing a lot of I'm seeing, I did a lot of price shopping comparison this last week, and a lot of things that were like that were getting sold for very cheap have come way up in price. And so, you know, some of the stuff we looked really bad on, we look great on now, which is all right. Yeah. Need to try some of those extreme flakes. I hear nothing but good stuff about them. Yeah, in fact, I got an email from Andy, the owner of Extreme, and he was saying that I think Australia, even though I think Australia's caught in, I don't know if it's lockdown or just trucker shortage or what the exact thing, the snafu is there, but another reorder, so they should be in the stores there, and I think they finally are starting to get into the UK stores. So, you know, start looking at your local stores, you know, inquire about it. I think they did say that if they could get some more UK vendors, you can just email Extreme and they can put you in contact with the wholesaler that's bringing it in. Would you ever allow other retailers to sell your products? Sponges, Easy Green, and intake sponges. Possibly AquaShack. The problem is how, you know, the way I think about it is, how can another store make a profit and we maintain that we're offering stuff like as fairly as possible? Because normally what we'd have to do is, like, if I buy this Diet Coke and it costs $1 to be manufactured, we'd have to sell it for at least $3 so that I could sell it to another store at $2, and then they could sell it at $3. Well, really, I'd have to sell it for $4, right? Because what everyone wants to happen, every time someone touches a product, what they want to have happen is, oh, I invested my $1, and now when I wholesale it, I'll get $2, right? And that covers some of the shipping, some of any of the accidents, any damage, and overhead of running the business, right? So I get to $2. Well, that person that buys it at $2, they need to cover the same thing. Well, they've got overhead. They might have a retail store employee. They had to pay the shipping to get it to them, right? And so they got to make $4. Then they got to pay the local taxes and all that because they're not buying it, or they're not selling it wholesale. So that's the thing, right? If I wanted to like wholesale Easy Green to other stores, like maybe Easy Green's got to be like $30 or $40 retail so that we still make the 20 because it still costs us X, right? So we were considering that before container prices went from $3,500 to like $18,000. Now that's been like, it's gobbled up so much of the profit that there's stuff where we even, we have a product that we really tried to launch, Easy Brine Shrimp Salt. We have it. It's in the retail store. We never launched it online. I'm going to sneeze here in a second. We never launched it online because it is way too expensive to reorder. So a product like that we could never even wholesale when we can't even sell it online without losing money. Now, if in a magic world tomorrow tariffs went away and it went back to $3,500, now all of a sudden we'd be more open to, okay, maybe we could have other stores sell for us. We'd still have to have another part of a warehouse that was dedicated to making sure everything shipped accurately and on time to other businesses and things like that. Last thing we want to do is trash Fluval for the past 5 years and then become another Fluval of like, can't get stuff out the warehouse, it's a clown show, right? So we definitely wouldn't want to be that. So we'd have to invest in infrastructure, we'd have to maybe hire another manager that just manages wholesale side. And we're doing, lots of steps are happening. We just hired on another HR person, and we're putting steps corporation-wise in place to go. If that ever happened, it'd be easier to turn that that knob and actually make that happen. But it doesn't make sense yet. And a lot of business for me is just there's a time to do things, and it's not the time right now. But maybe it will be, in a year, maybe 2 years. Don't know. Alrighty. Oof, I am way behind on special messages. Most products are Keystone, double what it costs, really hard to sell something that they can buy for less from the source. yeah, it's a difficult market to navigate. Like, yeah, because you've always got people that will, you know, kind of sell against you. Ben says, greetings from Tennessee. Well, hello. You ever think you'll do one in New York City? Well, I hate New York City, but yes, probably. I just don't like that many people. There's a lot of people in New York City, but isn't there the NYC club? There's a fish club there, I think. $10 from Charlie, thank you. Dedicated McElroy Chronicles follower. Been around for longer than 39 months. Continued support of the co-op. You have been for a very long time. I still want to do more in business. What I mean by that is I want to talk business more. I love talking business. I really do. But I can't bring myself to go like stream on the business channel when I'm not even streaming here. But yeah, I've thought about figuring out how to do like a business show on this channel, but never come to fruition yet. Too busy. Rejoined after stepping away from the hobby for a few months. I have to say the online club speakers are fantastic. I'm glad. Yeah, it was a little bit of a rough one with Tom Barr, but we'll go shoot a video, make up for that. And, you know, obviously notes were taken. Plans are to be actioned to hopefully prevent that in the future. And we'll do better. I made a Dean special patio pond at our hotel business. I can't tell you how many people are amazed by it. That's not a bad thing if you owned like an Airbnb or a hotel and you could get people into fish. And because what I like about those little pond thingies is they feel like they're so much more approachable. Like, I could do that, yeah. Where an aquarium can be a little more, that's probably expensive. I don't know about all that, but somehow like that half whiskey barrel or anything like that. Like, yeah, I got one of those in the backyard right now. Thank you for all the info. My pleasure. I just wish I had more time to do it. Let's see. How have you handled the giant price increase from shipping containers coming in from China? Basically, it's just eating the profit. That's really where we're at. And so it's one of these where during COVID, right? So COVID happened and we're really scared. We don't know what's going to happen to our business, so we just spend like nothing, right? And so the cash reserves are rising and rising and rising and rising because we're just spending nothing. Like, if it's not essential, don't buy, right? And then now prices are coming up. And we've just been treading water, and the money's been coming down slowly. Like, we're technically spending more than we're earning, kind of, right? So as an example, like, I think we got our statements and everything. And at the end of August, with like 35 employees and all that, and the amount of inventory we bought, and you guys saw that we bought more cargo containers and, you know, spending infrastructure and stuff. But at the end of all that, I think there was like $1,000 in profit. So, you know, running pretty lean. Now, the good news is we started from a high point, so we're going down slowly. But that's where I was kind of talking like, we gotta up marketing and stuff, because right now, all of September, it should have been like, oh yeah, we're off to the races. September through basically April are the months where we do really well, and that's not happening this year so far. And so we're going, okay, well, let's get back to the basics. Let's educate people about products. Let's make sure they're aware of them. Let's help them. Let's just make sure that we're doing the best job we can, and we'll, you know, do what we can. And so I have updated some prices though. There are some prices that went up. I think sponge filters went up a bit. What else? There was like a few other products, but you know, I'm trying not to. That's the thing, is I'm holding back, going, it's gotta get better eventually, and because it's hard to bring prices back down when you're, you know, That's honestly why I'm working so much. It's like, what can we do to combat this? There's got to be a machine we can buy. There's got to be training we can do. There's got to be a deal we can negotiate. Have we gone down this avenue yet? And that's what's so exhausting, is trying to remain competitive and make sure we don't give up quality. That's there's a lot of ways we could do stuff where we reduce quality. And there are some things in play that I'm not going to lie about. Like, we are considering that very select few products would ship first class. There's a brand new product over there that if we don't ship first class, we're actually never going to launch, because it's a product that's it's not a shirt, but it's like a swag product, right? And to ship it in a box will be absurdly too expensive. And still, like, we should probably, if I was good at my job, I would look at hoodies and go, we're losing money on hoodies. But if we ship them, because right now to ship a hoodie is $17, right? And so if we ship it in a first class, like, plastic envelope, you probably get those packages from like Amazon and stuff, it'd be more like $5 or $6. And so, but we make that promise, we ship everything as fast as possible. And so there might be some, but we have to change the way the packing stations are laid out, the warehouse. We have to change, there has to be different sorting bins. Like, it's a big decision. It's not just like a click a button. It's like, okay, from the top down, what teams are involved, who's creating process documents, who's changing the software, who's changing the physical bin locations, who's making sure that pickup happens, who's separating, because once you ship first class in Washington has to be separated from first class the rest of the country. Then we also know that first class is getting slower based on the new thing that the USPS is doing. What's the backlash is that going to be like? What do we have customer service queued up? If we were going to do that and we shipped you all of your stuff and your plants and everything, we ship it to you, and then you're like, hey, where's my hoodie? And like, don't worry, it's coming. This is coming much slower. How do we make sure that you know it's going to be coming slower, and you knew why we shipped it slower and all of that? And so it's just like this big, massive project that, it's got to slowly mold to where it's got to go. And we're not even sure we're pushing in the right direction yet. But things like $20 from JR help. Honestly, it's just like, oh, that's $20. That's, a couple more people are going to get hoodies, and, we take a little bit of a beating on that, but I'm big in it's got to all work out in the end. Love all the knowledge. Well, thank you, Douglas. What was your best surprise fish that you picked up on my trip to Peru? I really was shocked to find Jurapares. Because I've always said when I went to Peru that if I found earth eaters, I would take them back. And to find like my favorite earth eater, Jurapare, is crazy. I thought at best we'd find like just a different type of geo that was kind of cruddy, and then I'd be like, maybe. But then to also find Cupidos, which I actually really like as well, I don't know, it was kind of like an insanely cool trip for me, because we found a bunch of fish that I really love. I think that was kind of lucky. Do I have any creepy stories having to do with the pond yet? I'm trying to think. I don't think anything too creepy. The creepiest thing that really happens is like snakes. I'm not a big snake fan. Seeing different tracks and stuff, but I haven't seen anything super creepy. Oh, I mean, I'm not a guy that's gonna be like, oh, it's pitch black, let's go walk by the pond. Like, I'm not needing to tempt fate and get spooked. Corey Brew with the $10. Well, thanks. You better be a member, Corey Brew. If not, try to steal that super chat back and become one. All right. Yeah, the word on the street is container backlogs will be until 2023. I spend a lot of time reading as much as I can, and yeah, I think it's at least that, if not 2024. There's all kinds of economic factors. And that's why I want to talk business. If people were asking me, I think 100% we're going into a recession. There's going to be some collapses in certain industries, and there's just too many things being pushed that, we're staying afloat now in those industries, but it's going to come crumbling down. And unfortunately, everything is one thing affects another thing, right? And so you get like, oh, this industry collapsed, those lost their job, and then they don't have money to buy this, that system starts collapsing. And just like I spent a lot of time, even talking through with Dean and Zenzo and just anyone that wanted to listen. And I go, it doesn't add up to me and I was like, how can we not have enough workers, right? When just 2 years ago we had like more, or like, yeah, we had more than enough workers. It was harder to find a job, right? And yet no one's got anything to sell. So like that doesn't make sense. And when you look into it, it's because we've redistributed a lot of the population. And so what happened is there's all these vacuums that are created that aren't being properly reported yet. And so a good example would be, I could use Dean and his wife as an example, basically. But you take a metropolis city like San Francisco, if everyone's working from home, right? The first thing that happens is everyone that was working from home no longer goes, hey, it's Friday night, let's go get those drinks. You don't get that like, I am going to the taco truck down the road. You want anything? Hey, we're all going on Wednesday. We're all going to go to Meatloaf House. You want to come with us? All of those interactions stop, right? And so you replace that with working from home. And now some people are going to DoorDash and Uber Eats and some of that stuff, but you don't have the peer pressure of like, hey, we're all going. Are you going to go? You probably don't have that Friday night drinks anymore at the bar, right? As much. Like I'm sure there's, if there was 100 people doing that, for every 100 people now there's 7 people doing it, right? So there's still people doing it, but it really went down. So then like my wife, right? You put another piece together, and like my wife, we had a bunch of apples in the yard. She made applesauce and wanted to give it away to friends and family and all that, right? And so she goes to a cash and carry, which is a place that supplies like businesses and restaurants with supplies. And she wants plastic containers to like put applesauce in and go, here you go, right? Well, she gets there and she can see from one side of the store to the other and literally asked them like, oh, are you guys going out of business? And they say, no, we can't get plastic containers fast enough and they're not being made fast enough. So you had a retail or a restaurant sector that used to be 99% dine-in with reusable plates that are now 99% dine-out. So they're going through styrofoam and plastic and all these things at incredible rates. And you've got supply issues, right? Containers went up. So stuff's not really coming in from China, right? You've got COVID problems in warehouses where they either have to shut down production, or B, you've got the other vacuum, and that is higher end jobs, right? So a job that might pay more. If they now require people to go back in and work, X amount of people quit. Well, if you were in a warehouse, and let's say you're making $20 an hour, and now you could just go, well, all I have to do is go over to here and make $25 an hour. That creates a vacuum in the warehouse industry. And that warehouse industry at $20 an hour goes, well, we're going to grab fast food workers, right? That fast food worker goes from 15 to 20, right? So there's that vacuum everywhere. So you've got all these vacuums going on, and basically we're just trading players everywhere to react to the market shifts, and no one's kind of seeing all of this happen. So the other thing that we haven't really fully understood, I think, in the papers that I'm reading, and myself included, are that you might have let's say a couple like Dean and his wife living in San Francisco. They are now, let's say, working remote. They no longer have to be in San Francisco. Wife moves back to Washington. So now, not only that, they're not paying rent in San Francisco anymore. They're not eating anywhere local anymore. So now, like the landlord getting less rent, so that's one job at least, and probably a maintenance crew. Then you've got local restaurants, that's less income for them, making it harder, right? And all the other utilities and that kind of stuff. And it's been redistributed to Seattle or Washington area. And that's a pretty linear move of like, oh yeah, metropolis to metropolis. But there was a lot of people, imagine if you had a couple of two, they both had $50,000 a year jobs, or 60, or pick a number in that 50 to 70,000, and they're both working remote. Now one of them has to go back in. They don't want to go back in, but they can move from where they are to another state with a lower cost of living. Now they could make that work. And if you had kids, oh, maybe now you get to stay home and you can watch your kids and only have one person working, and you have a better home life making from one income than you did living in a more expensive place. Again, that pulls a whole family, vacuums it to another state, where all of a sudden that state, we can't find enough people to put in our restaurants because they're booming, and then we can't find enough people to put in our restaurants because that vacuum sucked all the workers up to higher levels. Each one kind of bumped up payroll, right? And so all these things are going on. Now, while all that's going on, that means there are people that are leaving the workforce. And basically, some of the papers show that people that were like Dean's age. Dean basically retired when COVID hit because he worked at a school and it was going to be crazy and all that. And of the 14 million jobs that are left unfilled, people in Dean's demographic are about 2 million of them that aren't expected to come back, right? And then you've got all these people that have relocated. So there's that. You've got all these people that maybe they don't have a child care option, like maybe, from regulations or just, maybe they're having to shut down because there's not enough kids. There's all these stuff going on. And so there's this big thing going on. And so it's kind of fascinating to see and try to guess, like, okay, what's the next effect? What will the next thing be for, Aquarium Co-op and making things work? And I love to study it. And I think it's fascinating. And there's 4 billion things that, there's a billion things that I can't see, but I try to make decisions based on what I feel is the right direction to be going, and knowing that over a long enough time, it's, it'll work out. Sounds like it's time to look for a better job. You could. I think a lot of people actually will be in for a lesson once the dust settles and the people that go to these other jobs, there's a reason there's a vacuum there, right? People don't leave awesome jobs. And so if you're going to fill jobs where a vacuum was, you're gonna basically either you're expendable or they weren't that great. Like, it's better than where you were. And, I'm not saying that people shouldn't get better jobs, because you should. You should improve yourself, even at work, right? I say you should be improving your work life skills at work, but at home you should be doing that too. So you should always, improve yourself, improve your situation, but just don't get caught out by, there's a lot of companies right now that will pay you more than what you're getting, but it's a very short-term thing. They're not really going, oh, we're going to pay someone this forever. They're expecting the labor market to come back around, and they'll lay people off, and they'll, there's other stories and things you read of other owners I know where someone like poaches their employee with a sign-on bonus, and then in the fine print they're actually getting taken advantage of. There's also like, oh, we'll pay you $50 an hour, but it's only 20 hours a week. There's all these little shenanigans going on, and different mandates, laws change and things like that. So it's actually just a time where I don't know what anyone should do, but keeping an eye on it means hopefully we won't make a horrible wrong decision and lose the co-op empire, which I don't think that's a reasonable outcome currently. But that's how I knew to load up on containers and containers and containers of product, watching the supply chain and seeing what's going on, staying in tune, and making sure that we're not just sitting there like an aquatop going, well, how was I know it was getting harder? Like, well, it's been obvious for a while. Have I tried Midnight Cookie? What's my favorite? Usually it's like a peanut butter thing. So Midnight Cookie is a business that should never exist, in my opinion, by the way. It's in the parking lot of our store and a bunch of other locations. And it's basically a cookie place that opens up between like the hours of like 7 p.m. and midnight. And you can buy like $4 cookies and have them delivered and all that. But the reason why I think they shouldn't actually exist is I think I've utilized their service of buying cookies for like employees and maybe just myself, like to take home like 5 times. And every time, half of the menu is like, oh, we don't have this one, we don't have this one, we don't have this one. So I get there, I'm like, well, do I want a Tutti Frutti, sounds horrible, cookie? Or do I want a snickerdoodle with cilantro? Or do I want, and why can't it be like, they're always sold out of like peanut butter, chocolate chip, like all the ones you know they sell 4 billion of, and they're still like, well, we only make 26 of those a day. And so I'm constantly flabbergasted at like, how can you stay in business always being sold out of your favorites? That being said, if you're really hard up for a cookie and you can get it delivered, I guess you're gonna take like a birthday cake / like, trying to think of something you don't pair with birthday cake. Birthday cake / meatloaf cookie. Yeah. I mean, that being said, they gave us some cookies for free. That was good. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to me to like get people hooked on a cookie and just never have the good ones. That being said, maybe they fixed it, but I literally drove by the sign this weekend when I was there, and like half the stuff was crossed out. So I don't know what to think of that business. Maybe it's like our little location and it's in an espresso stand, so maybe it's just like that's like this stepchild of like, just forget about that when all the good cookies go to this one. I don't know. All right. Planted Fluval Flex 15 oddball. Wait. Fluval Flex 15. If you don't put a comma in there and you read it different. Fluval Flex 15 oddball stocking ideas. I was thinking I got to come up with 15. I'm like, oh, that can't be. I would get yourself some toothpick fish. Those little micro predators would be fun in a tank like that. You can get a little army of those going. I'm no longer a shrimp. That's right. You made the 4-month mark. Let's see. There was a question. I didn't know I was part of this, but we moved close to home where it's cheaper, and then I quit my job. Yeah, I mean, you really got to kind of like start spreading out into the matrix to see these things, to start seeing, you know, and I'm putting together my own narrative, which is like its own crazy theory, obviously, but I have to make some sense of like, how can we not have enough people to work and we can't get product? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, if you don't have anything to sell, how do you need more people? And then, you know, and you see it when you go there too. So it's just weird. But if you look far enough out, you can start seeing. And from what I could tell was basically of the problem of 100%, there's like 20 different things that are contributing. It's no one like, just fix childcare. We have enough workers. Or, just fix, you know, the LA terminal. Like, there's none of it. It's all little portions. And so if I can go, well, which one of these affect what we do? Okay, can I keep an eye on those and try to, you know, and just knowing that it's the butterfly effects happen everywhere. Like, oh, someone moved, then there wasn't as many tips, so that person got a different job, which meant this restaurant. You know, and a lot of people, another one of the sections is a lot of people when they got laid off or COVID changed their job dramatically, they started their own business. Well, if you have a bunch of businesses starting up, they eventually need employees. So it creates that vacuum of like, well, you used to work in a business, but now you started a business. So if your business needs 3 people, and you used to be one of the 3 people that fulfilled this business, there's now 4 open positions because you started one, right? And if a bunch of people do that, now it kind of keeps branching out. So it's a, you know, very complex problem. And I definitely, actually, I want to go back to college and study econ more, but we'll see if I ever find the time. Candy Overholes, just want to say thank you and much love to all of our members, subscribers, and customers. Yes, that's one thing that is uniform throughout the company. We're all very thankful to, you know, still have our jobs and get to do what we do best and keep improving. And we're very fortunate that we're weathering, you know, the sea is rocky and, you know, we got to, oh, geez, look at that, steer into it, right? You know, like that wave is going to be brutal, steer into it. we definitely still have to steer into the waves and watch what we're doing, and it takes more. I really got to watch the numbers and watch the trends and watch all this, and it doesn't leave as much time to make videos, but we want to make sure that we're around for a long time so we can keep making videos and keep making new products and keep doing what we do. I want to set up a 75-gallon tank. What is some ideas for stocking? I know I want Corydoras on the bottom, but I'm not sure about other fish. Rainbow fish are very popular. Angelfish, those would kind of be some of your bigger fish to put in there. You could also go something like blood parrots. You could, go with the whole mixed tank of just lots of different types of tetras. You could do a mixed tank of lots of different live bears. I like it being planted is where I would go. The 75-gallon, it's kind of like, it's like saying, I have an SUV. Where could I drive to on vacation? Like, well, anywhere, really. But where, are you looking to go up into the mountains? Are you looking to get into the forest? Are you looking to go to the beach? And that's kind of where that 75-gallon, you got to go, well, what is it you're looking for? You want lots of activity? You want just one cool big fish? Do you want cheap fish? Do you want very colorful fish? But, things like rainbows and live bears, angelfish, lots of community fish will really. The good news is about a community tank that's 75 gallons, it's point and shoot. Ooh, I like that one. I'll take a group of 6 of those. Ooh, give me a pearl gourami. That looks pretty cool. And you can kind of just keep doing that at your local store. So it doesn't need a whole lot of planning other than knowing that you're going to keep them all relatively peaceful. My mom's even listening. She said, snickerdoodle with cilantro. That's funny. So how do you tell when you need to add fresh root tabs? So normally on a plant, you'll start getting some yellowing, like on a sword or something like that, or a crypt. You'll get some yellowing or a little bit of holes going on in there. A good rule of thumb is to start with maybe like 1 root tab per 3 months. But then as the plants get bigger, or if you notice like, oh, by month 2 I was showing yellow, well then I would automatically go, oh, it's 1 root tab per 2 months. But the good news is with root tabs, you can put more root tabs underneath, and you can't really overdose unless someone's to really dig it up or something. And so you could put like 5 root tabs underneath a plant, and if it was only eating 1 per month, you'd be good for 5 months. If it was eating 1 per 3 months, you'd be good for 15 months, right? And so normally when I notice there's a lack of nitrogen, which would be yellowing of the leaves, I just go, oh, here's a bunch, so I don't have to worry about you for a while. If you got a big old Amazon sword or something, it might be eating 5-10 root tabs a month, so you might really have to be loading her up with those. But if you buy a 60-pack or something like that, you could make it a habit of like, oh, once every 2 months or 3 months or 1 month. And if you see the deficiency, then you might know, okay, well, I was doing it every 3 months. I'm starting to see some deficiencies. I'm going to start doing it every 2 months now. See if I can't correct that. A lot of times the leaves that already turn yellow or get holes, they won't fix themselves, but the new leaves won't show any deformities or deformities or deficiencies. That's really what I was looking for, deficiencies. By the way, if you happen to like our root tabs and you bought them in Canada, do us a favor and leave a review. So we had that snafu where root tabs were having a problem, and those went to Canada. And so we ended up destroying all the inventory we had up there. There were, I don't know exactly how many got shipped out to customers, and they got some less than stellar root tabs, but hopefully they've gotten their money back from Amazon. I know that we took a giant loss there, but we'll be either shipping them from us or shipping new ones up to Amazon. I think we already have them on the way to Amazon. We actually inquired if we could actually ship out replacements. Not that we want to, because it costs a lot of money, but we care that much that we wanted to ship from us and make sure they got fresh new ones. And because it makes us look bad, right? Of like, oh, the root tabs are horrible, and we had one bad batch, we remedied it, but that slipped through the cracks of, oh yeah, that batch, some of those made it up into Canada. We got to make that right. If I didn't own my own business for 19 years, I'd move back to the Seattle area and apply for a job at the co-op. Yeah, it's not an uncommon thing. We have not customers. We have employees that have moved to work for us. Not that many though, because I don't want it to seem like everyone should just throw in an application. It's a difficult thing to move cross country to work here and all of that, but we have had employees do it, and it has worked out quite well. The Vienna guppies I bought that day have had babies. Well, that's good to hear. Trying to find some questions to answer. How's the fish farm going? The humidity under control? How's the algae from the skylights and the backgrounds? Backgrounds are mostly settled in. Algae's not too bad. We're getting that dialed in. I've still got one tank with green water. This guy's, I got to get the lighting changed on that a bit. I was actually talking about that in the video I was filming today. But overall, it's going really well in there. I would say, more fish, more plants. Time, though, it just needs time. There's still a bunch of empty ponds over there, but every time I'm looking for the fish I want, I'm not finding them, darn it. And I don't want to just fill it up with absolutely anything. And have a Kern's strawberry banana nectar. I love how it's like, excellent source of vitamin C, made with 20% real juice and a butt ton of sugar, probably. These remind me of Hawaii, though. Tastes so good. Watched a guppy talk from you from a few years ago. Do you still consider yourself a guppy guy, or have I moved on? 100% guppy guy still. Yeah, I would. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. More guppies, more. I'm 100% a guppy guy. I am a library guy. I've always been a library guy, but I really do love. I'm always on the lookout for more cool guppies. Does Dean's Fish Room allow contact with Dean? If you're asking if you can message Dean, there's a chance that he'll respond to you on Instagram, but he literally gets so many messages that he can't possibly keep up. And yeah, I know that he constantly talks about like, I can't keep up with these people. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, you just kind of can't. That's the reality of it. There's more people than you can ever, so you pick and choose who you want to talk to if you have free time, but don't lose sleep over it. It's an impossible scenario for you. Because Dean's got lots of stuff going on in his life, and the fish thing is his hobby. It's not his income or anything like that, really. So it's, I try to tell him, like, if you want to spend some time talking about the hobby, then do that, but don't feel obligated. You don't want to burn out. Yeah, I buy the variety pack of Kerns, so I have had the guava. That's why I think that one really reminds me of Hawaii. Are Lamprologus werneri still in the hobby? I've never kept Lamprologus werneri, so I don't know. I've kept a lot of Lamprologus, but never the werneri. When are we getting that Aquariumcoop lights? Been holding off buying some for breeding tanks until they drop. This is why I should never tell you guys. We're probably like a year out. And what I mean by that is, other economic factors, rolling power outages. So even if I was to say, make us a container of lights today, delays in production are very long. We actually had them make a new mold because we want to make the casing a little bit thicker. So the aluminum is going to be a little bit thicker. And that's the problem with R&D is we're not going to release it till I get it as good as I think we can get it. I'm also absolutely terrified that we're going to invest $100,000 into a light and there's going to be something wrong with it and you guys won't buy it and we'll go out of business. So until all the factors line up, really thorough testing. One of the lights just started flickering a little bit. I think it's because I have it turned way down, but I need it's on my to-do list. I have to take a video of it so we can send it to the manufacturer and go, what could be causing this? So it's nerve-wracking though. 2-month tenure. I've never heard it referred to as the tenure. Thanks, Corey and the gang, for all you do for the community. Well, thanks for hanging out. Like, I just facilitate the group. I really want it to this become a self-serving thing where more and more people chat with each other. because that is infinitely scalable. Oh, there's 10,000 people? 5,000 people can talk to each other. I can't talk to 10,000 people at once. That felt weird, like trying to connect those two. All right. We do have new products, though. I think I gave away all my samples with Zenzo here. I gave Candy one. I actually have to get a few more from the warehouse because we're getting pictures taken. They should arrive, I think, at the end of the month. But you guys won't want to see that anyway because you hate commercials, right? I live in an apartment in Wisconsin, and with hard water, is there an RO unit that hooks up to a kitchen sink? There are units that can do that. There's also under sink units and that kind of stuff. You just got to look for them. I actually heard, I think it was on Saturday, that some places are actually limiting how much RO water you can get from the store. Or is there a cheaper way to soften the water? Well, over time, your water gets softer from plants and things like that, but it takes quite a while, and you just don't do as many water changes. Let's see, I don't want to add Dean's problem. Just wanted to thank him for being such a friend to you and the Nerms. Yeah, I mean, so one of the good ways you can do that, JR, if you guys want Dean to like see comments, stuff like that, is leave comments on videos he's in. He'll read them, he replies to them. He's usually not like Johnny on the spot. He might be that night or the day after. But he does read a lot of comments, and so that's a good way to kind of interact with them. And usually you can see he'll respond to some people, but he does check back in. He just doesn't have time to do all that. He's very busy in his own fish room. He helps other people like me. And so, he's got a new puppy. He's got his wife. He's got his daughter. He's, speaking at clubs. So he stays to be a busy dude. I've got a Sulawesi shrimp tank. I don't have anything in there but a snail. It's full of algae. Do you think it's okay to just plop them in? I mean, I wish I had that much algae. I've got cardinal shrimp, which are Sulawesi. It's hard for me to say, like, you'll be fine, because it's like, it doesn't say water parameters, but if you're saying like a tank full of algae and a snail, that's kind of a good start, in my opinion, to a good shrimp tank. How's Elmer doing? He's doing great. Eating like a champion. He's seems to be well adapted to his new tank mates, which I was kind of filming that earlier. Yeah, keeping a good eye on him. Seems to be moving forward. What kind of puppy did Dean get? I think Dean and Zenzo, they each got a puppy within like 3 months of each other or something. I think they're both mini Australian shepherds, something like that. Super cute. I haven't met Zenzo's. I've only met Dean's. Super cute. I'd take it in a heartbeat. I hate most commercials, but the co-op commercials, I don't know. I mean, I try to be true to the product, and at the end of the day, I got to pay bills, and I try to make it so you guys don't have to watch them. Like, it's not forced, so try. I have rain barrels for my garden. Can I use that water from the barrels to start a new tank? You can. Technically, you can get some cast off or runoff from the shingle, or not? Yeah, shingles, I guess, from your roof, and depending on how you're collecting it, right? Like, there could be some stuff coming in from the roof. That being said, it probably is pretty acidic, so know that it'll be pretty acidic. Probably safe, but at the same time, it's really hard for me to tell. Would you try it, Corey? If I needed to, I would, but it sounds like work. I would rather just water my garden. Will you get more filter media sponges on your website soon? I think we're still out of stock till like the end of the month. So what happened was this. we had like that $70,000 of the brine shrimp made, right? And then that'll take up like half a refrigerated cargo container, or 3/4, whatever that is, right? Then there's this empty space. Then I had to pick, well, Randy and I had to pick products that would fit in there that wouldn't be hurt by being frozen. And so we're like, cool, sponge pads and white filter pads. Let's load that thing up, right? So we ordered them all, and they were sitting at our consolidator, like ready to get loaded, right? Bunch of stuff in a freezer and a bunch of stuff over here. I think actually the freezer stayed at the manufacturer, the brine shrimp, and then that stuff was actually sitting at the consolidator. Well, for months we have not been able to find anyone to ship a frozen cargo container over. And so the problem was we were so worried about the brine shrimp that we didn't put 2 and 2 together to go, wait a second, we're also not going to get sponge pads and sponge filter, like the white fine filter pads. Because we'd have to put that on a different container, but it never made sense of like, oh, well, we're not just going to, at $18,000, you're not just going to be like, let's ship 1/3 of a container over. But then we also don't have other goods manufactured to combine with it. So it was just like sitting in limbo. We finally, or not we, Randy finally found someone after we contacted, I swear we like called everyone personally in China trying to make this work. And we finally got it. It's on the water now. It should be here at the end of the month. So hopefully, end of the month. Now that being said, just because it's like, oh, it should be here at the end of the month, it doesn't mean it couldn't sit out on the water for another 2 months if we keep getting more and more backlogged at all the ports. So hopefully it's end of the month, because yeah, we need them too. Our warehouse literally uses them in our sumps, so even we need them. Is Dean's wife actually famous? I mean, she's not like a superstar celebrity, but she's I guess she's very well known in the industry in which she worked, and it seems to me fairly prestigious. But you know, I don't want to give out, if Dean wants to give out those details, sure, Dean could give out those details, but you know, it doesn't do any good to divulge that stuff if someone doesn't want it divulged. But yeah, she's not like, I can say this, Dean's wife has never been on MTV Cribs. That's my metric for famous, by the way, whether you've been on MTV Cribs or not. The co-op test strips changed my life. Well, I didn't know that was going to happen when I worked on those, but it's good to know they're changing lives. Do I think the Tacoma Dome and local suppliers ever host an event here? Do you think the Tacoma Dome and local suppliers ever host an event here? You mean like maybe a big like show event, like Aquashella? Like we had the what was it? Family Pet Expo, and it was the Evergreen State Fair? Where was that? We had it for a couple years, but not enough attendance, I guess, is what they stated, is why they ended up stopping that show. It then became the Aquatic Experience on the East Coast, but they stopped it on the West Coast. Have I been on Cribs? No, I should though. I would do a parody of it or something. Jimmy and I should do it. That's, if you've seen it in videos, that's why I always like in Dean's and in my house, like, what's in the fridge? That's from the MTV Cribs. Yeah, I guess from me growing up. Some test strips work for both freshwater and saltwater tanks. Would the co-op test strips work in my brackish and saltwater tanks? I have no idea. I didn't test it in those at all. I am so laser focused on freshwater that I don't even, like, even though it would probably be beneficial for us to know, if someone else will test, they'll let us know, and then I could tell you, but there's so much testing that goes on just into the stuff that we have to worry about, that there's those other categories that we don't worry about because that's not even our main thing we do. Walmart and Home Depot are paying big bucks to skip the cargo shipping line. Yeah, at least Walmart and Costco rented out or chartered or whatever their own container boats. You know, believe it or not, I mean, I know this is hard to believe. Aquarium Co-op's not at the level in which we can charter an entire boat of containers. We ship one at a time instead of, how many containers? Isn't it like 6,000 containers or something on one of those boats? Yeah. If you watch enough videos with Dean, you know what his wife's involved in. That could be true. I mean, that's the scary part about YouTube actually, is that you say these little things, and if someone's really good at it, over time you put together this like huge picture of just like one puzzle piece at a time, and then you can fill in the couple of gaps. And I'm always surprised what people like know about me. Like, how do you know that? Oh, well, this one time you said this, and then 9 months later you said that, and so I figured this. And like, ooh, that's a little creepy. Where do I get my black ponds that I keep my fish in? I get them from a place called, what is that place called? Daaco, D-A-A-C-O. And they're like apple bin containers, which there's got to be probably 50 different companies around the United States that sell them that aren't named Daaco. But yeah, we've linked them in a few of the videos. Like definitely when we were setting up the tank, you can find them there, like the link to the one. But then people are like, I don't have a Daaco. Where do I buy it? I don't know. I don't live in Illinois. I don't know where you're going to get one. You're going to have to Google. So I tried at the very beginning I tried to reach out to that company. I was like, look, a bunch of people are going to want these. You want to set up kind of an affiliate deal or anything like that? And they're like, no, we only sell to stores. You could set one up with Daaco. And I reached out to Daaco and they laughed at me. And I was like, all right, well, there goes that. That was my try. Could I use a power head in a mini pond? You can, Nicholas. Just know that sometimes a power head makes it harder to grow fry. Like there's more current and it's like a swim more. Sometimes suck up babies, even with a sponge filter. Where to find a toothpick fish? We sell them in the store probably a couple times a year. You could look on Aquabid as well. I think local stores. They're hard to breed, so you're probably not going to find them like just from another breeder. I bought 100 wild-caught rummy noses and all but 4 died in quarantine. Any tips on quarantine and medicating wild-caught fish? Yeah, our tip is use the Med Trio. We buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rummy nose, both wild and non-wild, every week, and they go through the trio every time. You might be like, but Corey, I did the trio. They all died. And then I would tell you, that can happen, but probably the way they were handled on the way getting to you or something in the pipeline caused that result. And that's an unfortunate thing. I mean, that's how kind of stores make their money. Because if anyone could just order like, oh yeah, I ordered 100 wild-caught fish and they all thrived, there'd be no reason to really have a store. And not that people can't do it. I'm not saying you also couldn't pull that off, but it's not the easiest thing ever. If it was, I'd never have a fish die. And nor would a Petco or PetSmart. But, you know, the trio is what we do. Keep them a little bit warmer. Make sure you got a fully cycled tank. And, you know, don't feed them a whole ton right when they come in or anything. Does Zenzo own a proper fitting shirt? Or are they all medium? Pretty much. Oh, man. The amount of jokes when I hang out with Zenzo about fitness and the size of his shirt. I mean, I could probably be like, there could be like a 5-year-old kid, and I'm like, Zenzo, that kid's got your shirt on. Oh man. Do Aquarium Co-op version of cribs? Yeah, we want to do those fun ideas, but we would have to do them for members, and we just got to get back on our A game. The reality is, COVID took all the momentum we had built up and getting ahead, and it's just like, luckily we were so far ahead so that right now we're basically just like caught up. But doing all these like extra, like building a new series, doing a new thing in business, all of this, like we have to be forward so we can go, okay, working on this and this kind of, okay, we don't fall too far behind. What's the trio? The trio is Icex, Maricin, and Paracleanse. Those three together. There is videos and articles about it and how we do it, and we use it on every group of fish that come in the store. Oh, I guess Zenzo's up to a large lately. Yo, what up, dude? Gonna make it up here. Wait, make it up there. Any tips to bring fish back to Chicago? Zenzo just filmed. He just took fish back on the plane, so you can do that, like up to about 7 or so. Otherwise, I ship them to myself is what I'm doing. Just use Paragard first, but I think you're right. I buy domesticate all the time and never had a huge loss. Yeah, I don't even sell Paragard because it tends to just kill fish and not even cure them for me. Which I realize half the internet was like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I use Paragard, works fine. And I would say, cool, you do you. For me, where I bring in insane amounts of fish, that thing was not curing anything, and therefore the result is things are dying from diseases. So possibly for very light end stuff at home, sure, but in a commercial setting, in my quarantine room, Paragard was like giving fish a death sentence of like, oh, you've got cancer? Well, here, have a Snickers candy bar. That'll cure it. That's about how effective my Paragard testing went. And I tried because I really wanted something that mild that would work. And it turns out it's so mild that it fights ick off like a Snickers candy bar. Would you worry about a 20-gallon overhanging on the sides of a stand by 1/4 of an inch? Everything in the middle is well supported. I personally would not. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't have a little rock under it, it couldn't be tweaked a little bit, it couldn't explode tomorrow. But me personally, I would not worry about it. I went to Ocean Aquarium and described a YouTuber to Justin. And he said, oh, that African cichlid guy. And I told him, no, it was Filthy Tanks. Yeah, you would think Justin would know Zenzo more. They live in the same city. Zenzo never leaves his house. He's either working in his home gym or flexing and breaking shirts. That's all he does. Oh yeah, and membership stuff now. Have they ever tried developing a sticker of Zenzo flexing? We did, but they keep ripping. So you print it and automatically just like, you hear that tearing sound, it rips in half. So we haven't been able to bring it to market yet. I purchased a 6-month membership and it expires in less than a month. How do I renew? I actually don't know that answer, Nicholas. I suspect, and because I don't even have that option, I suspect when it lapses, you'd be able to buy another 6-month membership. However, I don't know. You might be able to, there's probably some kind of support thing you can click and ask, but that's a pain in the butt. That's right, I'm making kids laugh with my Snickers comments. I just bought 2 trios from Guppy Train. Would you separate them or keep them all together? If they're the same strain, I would keep them all together, personally. I've ever made my own medicated fish food. I tried that a bunch when I was when I was newer to the hobby, before I really understood that, like, oh, you can't control how much a fish eats, and so they could be over or underdosing. So I haven't done that in a long time because, I watched the whole internet be like, it's better when fish eat medications, and I'm like, true. And they're like, yeah, you just got to do this, this, and this. You got to either do the alcohol method or do the CChem focus method. But no one's focusing on, but how do you make sure your dog didn't eat 17 pounds of medicated food and your other dog ate 1 kibble, right? That's impossible to do in a fish tank. And so what I find is you're just getting uneven results throughout the fish. And if you're not getting rid of, like, let's say an internal tapeworm in one fish, it's just going to reinfect everything long term. So you're going to get, like, initially going to be like, it's better, and then 6 months later it's going to be back because it never really fully got rid of it. My 6-month membership expired Sunday. My only option to renew was monthly, which is fine. The content's worth it. Yeah, so maybe they're still evaluating results from that test because it's been a beta test to offer that 6-month thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I took a trip to Pet World Warehouse. Never heard of it. They have, hold on. There we go. They have 7 tanks with ick, and I told the kid at the counter, and he said, no, we clean the tanks every night. I had to explain that ick was a parasite, and it was sad. Yeah, that is sad. I don't know what to say other than that is sad. What would be your advice to someone planning to open a fish store within the next 5 years? Go work at someone else's fish store, especially right now when it's tough. Go learn, what it's like when you can't get stuff to come in and when supply lines are disrupted, and learn what vendors are thriving and keeping your store that you work for in stock, so that when you go 3 years later and you open up your own store 2 towns over, you can go, hey, I remember when wholesaler X and this were really in stock, and even when times were tough, they were good. And then you can, not rely on vendors that aren't reliable, because if you don't have fish coming in, you're not making money. If you don't have dry goods coming in, you're not making money. You're paying rent, but you're not making money. And you got to learn. There's so much to learn. There's so much to learn how to keep fish alive. There's so much to learn how to sell fish. There's so much to learn on how to not be cranky, how to get enough sleep, how to do all of these things that I think people take for granted. I definitely thought I knew a bunch. I ran a fish store, but I never ran a busy fish store. And so that was a learning experience. I never run into some of these problems where, we got to a success level better than the store I worked previous. That means new learning. So, I'm learning right here. James Green says, in medicine, that type of reinfection is called a ping pong infection. Makes perfect sense to me. That sounds like the best description ever for medicated fish food. Now, there is a good use of medicated fish food when you only have one fish. Like if you have, I have one flowerhorn, one doveye, one Oscar. You can control how much it eats. But in the community tanks, that's what we deal with mostly, it's really difficult. Can we get a day in the life video from Corey and the gang? I always think that those might be a good idea, but so here's the problem with a day in the life, right? You're either setting up a day that's going to look pretty good and be good on video, or you're going to show something that's incredibly boring. Today I slept till 10 a.m. I look at my watch. My watch says, you have 5% sleep credit, because I've been working on my sleeping. I've been working where, like all of last month, I think last month, let's see, actually I want to see. We can do this real time. We'll see if if me taking time off and focusing on myself has actually helped. So my time asleep by my phone, which is not quite as accurate as the watch, says 9 hours and 39 minutes, which is a long time. But I'm now, that's funny. It says my average time in bed is 7 hours and 43 minutes, but my average time of sleep is 8 hours and 44 minutes. How can that be? I'm not sleeping outside of bed. But let me scroll back to, I was down to like 5 hours and 45 minutes was my average nightly. And at least with this data I'm looking at right now, depending on which one, I might be up to almost my 8 hours. So, and I've been feeling a lot better. I've been able to work a little more efficiently. So, sleeping until 10, eat breakfast. What do? I work on the website till 1. Then I go try to find my camera. I find that. Battery's not charged. I charge that. I start filming. Business partner shows up at 1:50. And you'll see this in the video. I literally stopped the video going, business partner's here, gotta go to the bank, go to the bank, deal with that From there, drive straight to Home Depot, pick up 6 racks to put in the garage. From there, write 2 emails to different people in the company and eat finally. It's 4 o'clock. Between 4 and basically 4:20, I write 2 emails and I eat. Then I scheduled the live stream, scheduled the NERM notification, came out here, answered a couple more emails, and got ready, and here we are today. In video, that's super boring. But there's other days it could be a little more interesting, but that's not true. I mean, you know, Monday was like wake up, answer emails, work on website, emails, proof, work out with the trainer, do more of that, meeting with Randy for 3 hours. Then I played some video games. That's basically Monday. But yes, we are boring. No one wants to see that. My wife hit the nail on the head. Tomorrow, I got to work out. I got to go. I got a dentist appointment. What else do I got to do? Thursday, we got to take Wincy to the eye specialist because her eye is not better. So, and then we got to have lunch with Grandma. Day in the life. A week in the life? Will this torture Jimmy for an entire week? Yeah. Jimmy, just watch everything I do for a week and then put it together and make me look good. Yeah, it's... We want to do more vloggy stuff. Maybe we travel or something, but so much of it probably can't even be shown. You're like, oh yeah, I had a meeting about HR, and then, oh, I was hiring someone, and I was evaluating people here, and I was doing... Like, a lot of it just can't be shown. And so it would be Gary Vee style, like, oh, Corey's going into a meeting. Wow, look at that. Oh, he's in another meeting. Wow. That would kind of it would just make me like, wow. I mean, it would convey Corey's super busy, and I am. But other than that, you'd be like, yeah, it's super boring. So, work somewhere else for 3 years or so till things clean up with supply. No, see, I don't. I think you should. The best time to be learning about industry is when an industry is in the, you know, in a downtime like this, catastrophic. Learn, well, how are you managing voluntary time off with employees? How are you managing, everyone usually starts buying right when back to school, but back to school is delayed. How are you managing not having enough stock during the Christmas rush? How are you managing way more expensive flights from Thailand to here and thus not as many fish? If you can handle all of that, when you roll into your own business, you're like, ah, yeah, we're not having a pandemic and this is easy mode. That's way better than learning how to run a business easy mode and run it easy mode. And that's why when recessions and stuff hit, so many businesses go out, because it's easy to run a business when there's no obstacles. It's how you handle the obstacles on whether or not you're going to make it, you know, and that's there. I don't know how else to explain it other than that's why so many businesses go out. And there are times when, you know, literally there are things out of your control, but most times for a small business owner, things are in your control. It's just a series of bad decisions. Oh, I didn't do this soon enough. I did too much of this. I spent all my money, so then I got a loan, and now I'm indebted to the loan forever and a day. I thought that was going to be the thing. You know, it's so easy to be like, oh, I took out a loan, the lights are on the way, and then, yeah, the lights were faulty, and now I'm going to be broke for the rest of my life. Yeah, I didn't realize Jimmy has to watch everything. Yeah, you basically have to have a camera and Jimmy and, you know, these Peru videos. For these 3 videos that he's making, he's analyzing somewhere, it's like 70 hours of footage. So just if he watches it once, it's 70 hours. We're breaking that up over like 3 or 4 weeks, right? But just straight up watching, going, ooh, that's interesting. Let me put that in. Ooh, we need to change angle here. Let me go find that. Oh, the audio, can't hear what Dean's saying. Grab it from Dean's clip, put it in. Like, these are crazy intensive videos for him. They're coming out really cool, but, you know, there's no way we can keep up this level of production because it's crazy. Yeah. I play WoW, and I'm more of a 50-year-old smarmy dude. I've been playing EverQuest. I play on the Thornblade server. which is even before WoW I played that. Before that I played Legends of Kesmai. But I'm only playing, right now I'm kind of at a lull, not playing very much, but I get to a point sometimes in business where it becomes so overwhelming and my brain is so like trying to process the 4D chess of like, someone loses their job in San Francisco, moves to Oklahoma, creates a vacuum, that person's not eating, that person is not making money for that restaurant is now going to close, and then this is going to happen, this is going to happen, that I just have to like let that marinate, and then I'll just kind of be just, you know, chilling, playing video games, go like, wait a second, what about this? That's the answer. So you almost have to come back at a problem. I have to get away from it for a while. So while I don't count that as work time, I do know that sometimes I have to disengage so that I can come back into the problem and go, wait, I missed this thing that was perfectly right in front of my face because I couldn't get away from it enough. Just edited 18 hours, 43 minutes of film for 60 minutes of post-production. Yep. Yeah. And the crazy part is that doesn't take just 18 hours, Tori. It probably took you a couple weeks or something. Like if you start with 19 hours raw footage, it's probably 60 or 70 or 80 hours of actually editing, and then we'll end up with probably an hour and 15 minutes worth of usable video that people want to watch. Am I PC only, console, or handheld? I'm pretty much PC only because you guys wouldn't know it, but I have 8 screens in front of me right now. I've got, you know, chat, I've got the live stream, I've got 2 more up above, and a couple of laptops here. Some of it is extra for like gaming, but I like to have lots of analytics and articles I'm reading and just kind of, you know, can glance up and go, yeah, that is the real-time shipping tracking container. You know, how's that look? And then you read the article, yeah. And then you've got analytics for the store, and you can bring up cameras for store. What's the line look like? How long is the line at the store? All that kind of stuff. And so I try to put stuff where I know I need to get to it. I'll put it up on another screen so it's in my view of like, hey, I need to get to that. That is something I need to get to. I've been putting that off. So I'm ready to go camping again this year. I kind of am. I really kind of want to get a little bit of a van set up. It doesn't necessarily have to be a van, but I want it so that when it's Saturday, it's time to go camping, I hop in and start driving and not lose Friday packing, go camping Saturday, get back Sunday, unpack. So I want to turn it from a 3-day thing to a 1-day thing, and that means probably buying like, I don't know, like a $10,000 used van type of thing. Yeah. Have I been putting off sleep too? I was putting off sleep. I was basically working a lot, and then to play video games and kind of decompress, instead of going to sleep, I would just be like, all right, I just need to kind of think about things and you know, de-stress. I wasn't getting enough sleep. And the other part of it was, you know, let's say, because I on average I go to bed somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m. But once I got back from Peru, there's been all the cargo container cruise and just all this kind of stuff. We unloaded those cargo containers. We had other cargo containers, you know, that are actually put in so that, and the crane shows up and all this kind of stuff that it just, if you go to bed at 2 and then you got to get up at 8, it's only 6 hours, right? And part of it was things are always changing because of COVID timelines, right? So even though Sunday was supposed to be the day the crane came, it ended up being that now that had to be Saturday. Well, it means I had to get up extra early, and I didn't know about that till Friday night. So I had to get up extra early to make sure I met with the guys, get the containers put where I wanted to be put. Then, you know, at about 10 a.m., then Zenzo's, you know, we're having breakfast and we're starting our work day. And then by the time it's, you know, 10 p.m., we'd already done the event and all of that, and we're winding down for the next day. So, you know, I've been trying to focus on getting to sleep, and yeah, I basically told myself it shouldn't be a struggle to sleep enough. Like, I have to make the business operate basically in 16 hours or less each day, or it's not winning anymore. So it might be making money, but I need to measure on time. If I can't make this business run itself, not run itself, but run and operate with all these things in 16 hours, then I'm not doing a good job. And so I've been offloading more. I'm going to have Zenzo start proofing the blog articles, and we've got other people reviewing video, because every little aspect takes time. It's like, well, did you test the product today? Did you write those emails today? Did you interface with Extreme today? Did you, publicize this? Did you film a video today? Did you make sure payroll's accurate? Did you, I caught a shipping bug that's going on that we've been overpaying because we introduced a new box size. Do you see the metrics are doing this? And so, yeah. Am I working with a sleep trainer? I didn't know there was such a thing. I was just I went from doing nothing to I wear an Apple Watch and an app. But I didn't know that I didn't know sleep trainer was a thing. I might Google that, who knows? The unpredictability's got everybody on edge. There's that too. There's more HR stuff because people are a little more, I don't know what to call it. The best thing, the best way I can equate it to is it feels like it's an election year where everyone's kind of irritated, and they're all watching news cycles and all that and not really spending and doing normal things. And I've been through that many times before in my career. So I just go, okay, well, you just got to, watch spending. You got to do marketing correctly. You got to give everybody an extra, a little bit of extra room and try to just, do the best you can. What's my luckiest uncontrollable event in business? COVID. So we were I bought an insane amount of stock because I wanted to make sure we never looked like flu ball. And so anything with our brand name on it, we bought a ton of. This was before COVID, and I wanted at least 6+ months sitting in inventory. And then COVID hit, and we were like the only people that had stuff in stock. So we sold a ridiculous amount, which was really good. But, some of the things that came with that is you had to have more staff, and you had to have more things. And now that the demand has come back down, we're still carrying all these staff, which is, I never want to lose an employee. But we need, we kind of need to we had this windfall of easy sales, and then we leveled off 20% lower. And now we need to fight to get that 20% back up so that people are staying active and busy and feel fulfillment of oh yeah, a nice good day. Because for a lot of people, if you're not that busy at work, it drags on forever. If you're super busy, oh, I went into work, boom, it's done. What class do I play on EQ? I've pretty much played them all. At the moment, I raid as a magician, but when the next expansion comes out, I'm swapping to monk, just for max DPS. Don't be tripping like flu ball. That's pretty much the mantra. I got to get that like a banner, basically. But yeah, it's it's been a struggle. You guys have watched it play out. We're doing okay-ish. We could use help, as in, you guys buy more stuff. That's appreciated. It's always going to be appreciated, and if you're in that place to do that, great. If you're not, I totally get it. My job has gone full online. I do want to move to Seattle. Any recommendations for a place to move there? If you really so it depends. You've got this balance of super awesome and expensive and cheap, but could drive there. And so, where our store is in Edmonds, super awesome. You're right at the water, lots of walking around, awesome, a little bit more expensive to rent. But if you were to go stay out in Arlington or Burlington or kind of outskirts Concrete, the rent's going to be 60 or 70% of the price. But now you got a 45 to 50, 45 to an hour drive into any amenity. Not any amenities. That's not the right thing. But let's say you wanted to go to the Seattle in the store. You're an hour out from those types of things. Don't live in Seattle. You couldn't pay me money to live inside of Seattle. You want to live in cities and stuff like that around Seattle. Because you're just going to get more, I feel you get way more value That being said, the closer you are to things like Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon, rent goes up. So the further you get away from that, when it comes to buying a home, it used to be like a couple years ago, every minute from Seattle you were, the same house got $10,000 cheaper. So like, 10 minutes, $100,000 cheaper. 20 minutes, $200,000 cheaper. And so, but yes, we've got beautiful scenery every direction you could look. Lots of mountains, lots of water, lots of green, and mild temperatures. It is expensive. If you compare us to other states, we're very expensive. That being said, I've been to a lot of other places, and every time I'm like, I would much rather be in Washington. The only exceptions I have is possibly I'd rather live in Hawaii, but even then, might be more warm than I want, and I don't know that I want to live on an island. However, it's pretty awesome. I mean, we have rainforest. It's just colder rainforest. We've got all the kind of stuff. Yeah. All right. I've been live for more than 2 hours. I should probably end it roughly. But there was a question I wanted to answer. Where'd it go? I don't know where it went. Oh, that's what it was. It was a gaming question. Have I checked out New World? I haven't. My gamer buddies, if you will, who sit in Discord and I chat with every once in a while. They're all about New World at the moment, but I don't take on any new games because I want something purely that I have to work 16 hours today. I don't feel like I'm getting behind or anything like that. Like Zenzo for the event, I was basically, if you're used to having gamer buddies, like I told everybody, like, I'm going to be missing from Thursday till Monday. Like I have to work. Same thing, like, I'm going to the ALA. I'll be gone for an entire week. And so I need something very low key for gaming. I know, this is like my Hawaii shirt, except this is way too warm of a Hawaii shirt. This is my what was George Costanza's dad's name? But Frank Costanza, I think. I consider this my Frank Costanza shirt. Pretty sure it was Frank. What's my favorite heater for discus? Well, that would be the Aquariumcoop heater that I'm testing. No, I don't know. I don't think there is one. I honestly don't think there is a best heater. I think the only thing I'll be able to offer is like, here's a heater at this price that will have this Aquariumcoop guarantee until we can find the absolute best in the world. So, which might not exist yet. All right, I gotta go. I'll sit here all night, and then I won't get enough done, and then I'll stay up extra late. So if I want my day to continue and me get the proper sleep, I need to go on to the next thing. But thank you guys so much for all the new members, all the recurring members, all the people that showed up on the weekend, everyone that's going to come out to the ALA. Might be this week. We got a member video coming out in addition. So like we filmed it in addition to the Sunday video. So it was like, here's how to make this, and it's with Dean. So it'll be a Dean member video, and I think it's Dean, kind of a fish room type stuff that we did a couple weeks ago that will come out this Sunday, and then the following Sunday would probably be Peru again. And maybe I'll finish that video. I don't know. I need to do the talking portion of the video, and I just talked for 2 hours, so maybe not. We'll figure it out. Thanks, everyone. Stay good, stay safe, and we'll watch the economy together and hopefully keep Aquariumcoop alive.